This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville Podcast.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
And now, your host of the Ballsville Podcast, Scott Fitzgerald.
Scott coming in hard today.
Good entry, Sarah. Good entry. Good evening, Ballsville gamers, and welcome to another episode of the Ballsville Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Ballsville Games.
Podcast,
Our games combine
Scott
fantasy football
Fitzgerald.
and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. All right, welcome in, gang. We are getting very close to some real football, and we are pretty fired up for this podcast today. I want to introduce my panel behind the scenes. Like always, there's Sarah, M21. What is up, Sarah? All right. And my co-host, love his background, not. He is from Las Vegas. He goes by S. Clement Sleeper, and he is Sean. What is up, Sean?
How you doing, my friend?
And the Hawkinson lover. We all know him from Lakeland, Florida. He goes by the dealer, is back on Sleeper. He is a dynasty expert. Mr. Ken Moore. What is up, Ken?
Hi, what's going on?
And back in the chair, the man from the wild frontier, way up in Alaska with the Lions gear. What is up, Zubicus?
How's it going, gents?
All right, Jeff. Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are going to get into it. Before we get into some news and notes, I just want to run some things by everybody. Very important here. He is a very good friend of mine. His name's Freddie Crittenton III. Tomorrow at 3:45 Eastern Standard Time, he will be running in the 110-meter hurdles for a medal. Please give him some support. He ran high school track with my daughter, and we've been friends with him and his family for a long time now. So please give him some love tomorrow to run for that gold medal. So getting into our scoreboard, all our leagues are full. Thank you very much for the Ballsville community. You guys are great. You filled all these leagues up right around the 1st of August. All our redrafts, best balls, and dynasty leagues were all full. So we really appreciate your guys' support. That just shows you how great of a community we have in you guys to fill these leagues up very fast. It'll be very exciting for the point scoring season. Because of that, we have a mini game that Alex put up. It's gonna be called Hot Takes, and the reward for this game would be $40 in cash. You'll get 3 entries into the big game and 3 entries into the mini game, all for 2025. One of those mini game entries, we want you to refer a friend and give it to them and bring them to the community. So we would really appreciate that. This game consists of kind of like prop betting a little bit. So what it's going to be is we're going to have 5 players that you can give a yes no answer on where they're going to finish. So for example, is Kyler Murray going to be a top 12 quarterback? Is Christian Watson going to be a top 30 wide receiver? Is Brock Bowers going to be a top 10 tight end? Will Levis a top 18 quarterback, or Cooper Kupp a top 15 wide receiver? We're also going to have rookie rankings. So we'll do a top 5 rookie running backs. You'll list them in order with their rankings. Same thing with receivers and same thing with quarterbacks. So pretty interesting exercise. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Some pretty polarizing players in there, like the Christian Watson, kind of like that one in Will Levis. See where that ends up. So and that'll be for everyone that's been in a best ball game. So we opened it up for everyone in the best ball games. Go ahead and get into that hot takes, and I mean, it's a pretty big prize. So definitely getting those. So now we will. I just want to tell everyone, please like and subscribe to our podcast. We really appreciate it. We're getting the subscriptions up, and all the likes and comments have been great. So we really appreciate it. Like I said, this is your guys' podcast. So now we are going to step into some news and notes real quick. We also are going to do, along with the news and notes, we'll get into a little bit of talk about the results of last week's Hall of Fame game. We'll also get into the preview of the 16 preseason games this week, and then we will finalize with some trade talk that's been long overdue. So I'm gonna go to let's see who I want to go to this one. I'll go to Sean on this one, since I know he's drafted a few times with Jonathan Brooks here. So in redraft, Sean, do you really want to wait that long for Jonathan Brooks, or would you take Chuba Hubbard and try to get ahead of the game for 3 or 4 weeks, get some easy points? What are you doing with that backfield?
I'm still taking Jonathan Brooks, man. I actually kind of like it more now that he's having this, like, for sure, because you kind of have the guessing game out of the issue there. And you can just take him knowing that you're going to be putting him in for a playoff run. And you should be able to draft accordingly, where you don't need to just go after Chuba in order to cover your butt with it. Like, you could easily get, like, I think Austin Eckler's falling around that area. There's some guys that are out there that you can snag that are better than Chuba to wait until Brooks comes back on strong. And then Brooks could be a league winner for you in the end of the season. So I have no problem with it. I like the fact that he's going to drop a little bit farther now.
Ken, what about you?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this already, but I'm in the same boat as Sean. I'm probably just going to take Brooks at where he's at, but I'm not drafting Brooks as my second running back in a redraft. He will probably be my fourth, maybe third, depending on where he is. So I can afford to wait for him to come back. And if Chuba, is way late, then I'll pick him up then. But, I think he's like the Hail Mary that you're waiting for at the end of the season.
What about you, Zoobs?
Yeah, I consider him like a late season league winner kind of type. And yeah, if I'm taking him, I want to make sure that I got 2 strong running backs before him, before I put him on my team. And then and I don't mind covering my butt with Chuba either. So yeah, and I think where he's going is about the right point. And if he comes on strong at the end of the season, you're going to really appreciate having him.
Yeah, I'm kind of like maybe the outlier on this one. I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not concerned about like where they're getting drafted. I think they're being drafted appropriately. I just think that Brooks coming off an ACL, they tend to take a little bit more time. I think they're going to baby him a little bit more. They like Chuba. If I like to get off to a fast start, especially in redraft, you want to pile up some wins, and I think he'd be a great guy to stick in your flex spot, or if you were 0 RB guy, picking up Chuba, throwing him in there, getting 3 or 4 weeks of some pretty easy points. I think that's the way I'm going to approach it. Like I said, guys coming off ACLs tend to look like they're running in quicksand for the first 3 or 4 weeks until they get going. And I think that with the new coaching staff and everything, I think they really don't want to screw this up, especially where they're at. If they end up like not being out of the playoffs by then, I mean, I don't know if they're really going to want to like really rush him back, and they may just wait till next year to really unleash him. But like I said, if you grab him late and he ends up doing something good for you, he could be a league winner. So, but that's just the way I'm going to approach it. I'm going to approach it with caution.
I just want you to know that the Panthers are going to end last in their division.
I don't think anybody's going to be a league winner for you that's going to be a backup by week 15 when your playoffs are starting. I don't think that's a league winner for you, honestly. I'm in the other boat where Jonathan Brooks is the league winner. Chuba is the guy who's maybe going to help you get there in the beginning, but league winners to me are the guys that are coming on strong after week 12 and beyond.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Chuba's going to be a league winner. I'm just saying you can get easy points in the first 3-4 weeks.
Yeah,
you want to pile up some wins. And
and I think the only thing I would caution our players about is, keep listening to the drumbeat out of Panthers camp. I've heard some rumblings about Miles Sanders looking really good, trying to make a comeback. I'm just saying it could happen.
You know what that tells me, though? Is that tells me they're not sold on Chuba, even if Brooks isn't the guy. Like, they're not going to for sure roll out Chuba for like a 65 to 70% share. maybe it's going to just be a 50-50 scenario either way. And I don't think Chuba in a 50-50 scenario is worth starting.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, he'd be way off my draft board if that's the case. So just something to keep in mind as we're still in preseason and listening to the chatter out of camp.
I think it's more scary that we're only like 11 minutes into this, and Sean and I are actually already agreeing on something. So we're going to see how this podcast is going to go.
Okay, well let's move on. Let's move on to one of my favorite players. I've drafted a lot of him in best ball and some redraft this year, and that's Marvin Mims. Now everyone's gonna laugh. I know who's Marvin Mims. Well, I think with the new kickoff rules, they're talking about putting him back on kickoffs. I really think he could be the clear number 2. He showed a lot last year. So I really like Marvin Mims. I'm getting him like basically for free. So I really like Marvin Mims. What about you, Ken?
So I got to first off and say that I think he's better than Jonathan Mingo because you are a Mingo lover. I'm going to say yes, that I think Mims is, cheap. He's probably going to be the wide receiver 2. I think by year end, he'll turn into their wide receiver 1.
That's a hot take.
Ooh.
But I don't think it's that hot of a take. They don't really have anything.
They got Sutton.
They got Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, but guys like 28 going to be.
How many 28-year-olds were wide receiver 1s last year? I mean, come on. I like Sutton, don't get me wrong. I just think, with how Sean Payton is, I just think that he's going to try and focus on getting a younger wide receiver to be the wide receiver 1 for that team.
All right. I like it, Ken. What about you, Sean?
I like Mims. I've always liked him. I thought last year he showed something, and I think that he'll get a shot because, Peyton obviously liked him. He drafted him. So I think that it's going to be an opportunity for him. If he gets beat out, then it happens. But I think he's got a legitimate shot.
And Zoobs, you got anything else?
I think I do like Mims. I picked him up in a couple of dynasties that I'm in on the cheap as just hey, will you throw in Mims? So I like him. Yeah, I like him kind of long term. Wide receiver 1. That is a scorching hot take because Sutton's still there and he's just a touchdown machine. And then they drafted a rookie this year. Was it Troy Franklin? Yeah, but Franklin is rail thin. I mean, he is skinnier Devontae Smith. So
you never trust anybody with 2 first names.
Yeah, so we'll see how that all kind of shakes out. But yeah,
that's a good one. All right, yeah. So now we're gonna get into this one, and we're gonna start with Jeff because Jeff has a lot of this guy, and he loves this guy. So are we sleeping on Cooper Kupp, a bounce back? I mean, now that Puka's a little bit banged up, is this getting closer in ADP? I'm going to start with you, Jeff.
It is Cooper Kupp, and I think
like that you started with Jeff because Jeff has probably more shares of Puka than any other player in fantasy right now.
Hey, for Dynasty, Cooper Kupp, he's not going to be around in about 1 or 2 years. So I'm just saying. But yeah, I think for this year, I think they're going to really start to, and I think Kupp's probably going to overtake him as far as ADP goes because the drumbeat out of Rams camp is that it's Kupp's offense. He's running that offense. He's running that wide receiver room. I mean, we already know that there's a really good rapport with Matthew Stafford. So
isn't that 10 now, Alex, since you just traded him to me in one league?
Yeah. I'm still not. I'm not sad. I took Puka in my dynasties, no, but as far as redraft, I think Kupp, if he stays where he's at, oh my gosh, that is going to be an amazing steal for anybody who takes him. But I think he's going to start rising real quickly here. So yeah, and especially with the knee thing with Puka, although. McVay came out. He said it was just it was a bursa sack or something like that. Nothing serious. He's going to be good for week 1. And if you, I don't know if you guys know about Coach Speak. There's a website, Coach Speak. McVay has like a 90% Coach Speak percentage where what he says is really for real. So, you know,
PFF for coaches.
Yep.
All right. What about Sean? Are you taking the discount in Cup and ADP?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Dude, I've been trying to get Cup all over the place for a while now. You know, even before the Puka injury, because I heard the rumbles coming out of camp on Cup. And I know that Matthew Stafford and Cup are like best friends, man. They like have afternoon tea with their daughters together and like do all these crazy little family things and stuff. Like they're buddies, man. Like he's just not gonna start throwing it to somebody else all the time and leaving his best friend hanging every day. You know, like he's gonna keep him alive. He's gonna get him that potential Hall of Fame, you know, trajectory type of season that he's gonna want. And, you know, he's gonna send him out on a high note. He's not gonna do that to his boy.
What about anything to add, Ken?
No, I'm glad.
You want to agree with me again?
What?
You don't want to agree with me again, so he's got nothing to add.
No, I'm agreeing with Zubikis right now, actually, because he brought up Dynasty, and everyone knows how I feel about Dynasty. Puka, you know, his value doesn't really change much. You know, I'll take Cup at a discount and redraft. I think you're crazy not to take Cup with the upside that he brings, and any other player where he's been going. No one has that kind of upside Cup has.
Gotcha.
John, don't say it. Yeah.
I don't have to say it. You just said it.
All right.
Scott, hold on, Scott.
Yes.
I got a question for you.
Go, shoot.
Cup or Evans?
Ooh.
I like that question. I know who I'm taking.
You know what? I am gonna take the better offense, and I'm gonna take Cooper Kupp.
I am surprised because you were the biggest Mike.
I am.
Evans
I'm a huge
lover.
Mike Evans fan, but like we've talked about before, you know, I want to draft guys that are in elite upper echelon offenses, and the Bucks are. I don't think they're quite there yet. Even though I love Mike Evans, I think, you know, the Rams are definitely an elite offense, and like we talked about before, the Kupp and Stafford connection. As long as Kupp is healthy, Stafford's going to be looking for him early and often in that offense. Okay, we will move on to another polarizing player who's soaring up draft boards right now, and that's and Alex is going to love this one. It's Pacheco. I mean, in all reality, I mean, he's lining up for a 3-down back roll in this offense. McKinnon's gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire sucks at football.
True.
You know, so I think it's kind of wheels up for Pacheco. Now, I'm having a hard time getting him because he's going a lot earlier than I want to try to get him. Saying I don't really draft running backs anyways, but I can't even get him. Sean, where are you taking Pacheco? What round?
Well, I'm not, because he's always gone before I would even consider him. So
well, that's what I'm saying. What round would you feel is a safe round?
Oh gosh.
Even, I mean, we're talking about possibly a 3-down back.
See, and that's why I don't take him, because I don't see him as potentially a 3-down back. I think Andy Reid is Andy Reid, and he pulls gems out of the rough all the time. I think he's going to find a guy that's going to step in there and take the McKinnon role, and he's not going to be needed nearly as much this year with a much better receiving core. They're going to lean on Pat a lot more than they did last year. So I don't see Pacheco as valued at where he's being drafted right now, especially not where Alex is drafting him.
What about you, Kenneth?
Yeah, I can't get behind where Pacheco's going. I think he's going way at his ceiling, and I think he's going. There's no room for the ceiling where he's being taken. He's going way too high. You guys got to remember, when Pacheco came into the league, no one expected him to even be anything. So he's going to be this. This is going to be the same type with the Chiefs. You know, Andy Reid's going to pull out some guy that we haven't heard of and turn him into a running back. Reid's done it once. He's going to do it again.
Was it Derek Prince? I think is the kid that's
supposedly what's coming out of camp is that he's turning into their more of a wide receiver back, kind of like more of what McKinnon did. So for me, I won't draft Pacheco in a redraft at all because I don't like where he's going, because he's going very close to think it's ETN kind of value. I think he's like right at the end like ETN goes at the beginning of the round, Pacheco goes at the end, or if it's right at the beginning of the next round, and I don't like that kind of value.
I got him at running back 10, and I got him right after Kyron Williams and right before Josh Jacobs. So that's kind of where I'm sitting, where I got him. I mean, I moved him up.
Who's behind Josh Jacobs in your rankings?
Who's behind Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, who's your next couple? Just two.
It goes for me. It goes ETN, Kyron Williams, Pacheco, and Josh Jacobs.
And then the next two after Jacobs. Do you have two?
Achane and Kamara.
See,
you got to remember he's a lot lower on HN than most.
Yeah, I'm lower on HN.
That's why I was asking, because I had a feeling HN was in that below him tier, and I wouldn't agree with that.
No, HN's going. I mean, because all these running backs that I just named, they're 3-down backs, a potential 3-down back. Achane is a 3-down back. I put Achane in the satellite back area.
I don't know, man. He's just so explosive, though. He could do as much as Pacheco's doing in that offense, because the offense is going to be spread around more on the receiving side, man. Pat is still Pat, and they're not going to just sit back and run the ball like they did last year when they had no receivers to catch it. I think it's going to be wide open.
Think that, and I'll let Jeff chime in, but I just think that Pacheco is going to have. He's going to be the guy at the goal line, where Achane is not going to be the guy at the goal line. It's going to be somebody else. And I mean, Achane's going to have to score all his points on long pass plays, run after catch, maybe a reverse, maybe on special teams. He's not going to be running the ball up the middle through the tackles. So go ahead, Jeff. And do you have anything?
Oh yeah, I disagree with both of those guys. I got Achane. I got him right after Kyron Williams. That's where I got him. I think he is. I think he is great. I think he's on a great offense. I think he's going to be amazing this year. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Deneric Prince.
You were talking about CYA with Brooks and Chuba. What do you think about Achane? If you take Achane and you have Murley with his injury history, are you pushing hard to try to take a Jalen Wright or something like that later on in that draft?
Probably. I mean, yeah.
I think you have to. I mean,
and Jalen Wright, you can get almost. I mean, if it's a redraft, you could get him with your last pick, probably.
I don't know about that. He's kind of going up.
He's going early. There's especially with the chatter coming out of camp that he's been looking real good, and he might even.
It depends on your league and your settings and all that, and who you're.
Dude, but you're saying you disagree with Sean and I because we think that Pacheco's going way too high.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I would almost take him at the beginning of the third round. I think I would take him.
Yeah, no, that's too good.
I think I would take him over ETN. I think I trust that offense. I trust what he's already shown. I think he's just gonna blow it out of the water this year. So
pubs up. It's a pubs up. Push pubs up. ETN will finish higher in fantasy than Pacheco will.
I don't know.
Do you want to put a pub sub on it?
That'd be a good
Put it down. Put me down for it.
Put it up. Jeff,
you're going to get an Alaskan pub sub, a salmon sub.
Yeah,
that's fine. Just send me some salmon instead, and we'll call it a day.
All right, fair enough.
All right, and then we'll move on to this one. Now, this one I thought it was interesting because there's a lot of chatter coming out of Raiders camp. Now they do have Zamir White is the RB1, but there's a lot of chatter with Dylan. I think that you pronounce this Lobby or Lob. That he's really showing in camp with his blocking, his pass catching ability. So my point is for 0 RB drafters, and I've seen him going like almost like for free or towards the end of redrafts, round 20, round 21. He could definitely have some standalone pass catching value in PPR leagues. And like I said, all he really has to beat out is Alexander Madison, who he's getting to the point where he kind of sucks at football now. So I really like him as a dart throw towards the end of my draft. So you 0 RB guys that are looking for satellite backs to give you some points. He could be a guy that I would definitely want to keep my eye on. We'll go to Zoobs. What do you think, Zoobs?
I've been taking him late in best balls a lot, just as a like second to last round or last round flyer if he's still there. Because I do like what he's showing just as a pass catcher and kind of the chatter that's coming out of camp. So yeah, I think he's a nice late round flyer for sure.
Sean,
Nah.
you don't like that?
Nah. It's gonna be Zamir White.
Well, no, I know he's going to be Zamir. I know it's going to be Zamir White. I'm not saying he's going to take over Zamir's White role, but I think Pierce is going to run a 2-back system, and you're going to need a second guy. And I think he has. Why do you
think he's going to run a 2-back system?
Because he's not going to give Zamir White everything.
They did it for Jacobs.
Well, yeah, they gave it to Jacobs, then they moved on from him. So
yeah, because they had Zamir White, who stepped in and did the same thing.
You're telling me Zamir White's the Josh Jacobs?
I think that they're going to play him that way in the beginning of the year, and if he doesn't perform, then maybe Dylan starts to get some shares. But
okay, well, that's kind of my point.
Do you think he's going to perform?
Huh?
I think he'll be just fine in that offense. I don't think he's going to be like anything bad, but I don't think he's going to be amazing. I think he'll be just fine, though. He's not going to get beat out by, like Salaub.
No, I don't. Like I said, I'm not. He's not going to get beat out. I'm just saying he could have standalone value in a 2-back system. I mean, he could get 4 or 5 targets a game. And if it's a guy that you're, like I said, if you're 0 RB guy and he's number 4, number 5 on your running back chart, he could fit in there for some weeks. That's my point. Like
that's why I like him for best ball. And I don't think I would take him for redraft. I think he'd just be a roster clogger, just laying down there all year. But in best ball, maybe you got some injuries that happen. Maybe he gets you 8 to 10 points in a bye week when a bunch of your studs are out or something. So yeah, I think that's where he might thrive.
Ken,
I actually like him in Dynasty. I'll pick him up. I'll pick him in the 4th round every single. So there's 2 guys I focused on this year in the 4th round, and he was one of them. Because I think if Zamir White gets hurt, I think he steps in. Madison is trash and is bad at football. And there's
that's
just
coming from the Vikings guy.
So I think he's like that dart throw that you have no problem throwing. And if he hits that, you're ecstatic, kind of like the Puka Nacua where you were getting him last year.
Right. So yeah, my whole point in these in guys like that is usually in drafts especially like home leagues, when it gets to those late rounds and your buddies are like, chowing on wings and they're already like 5 or 6 beers deep and they're just like BSing and not even caring about the last round. Just throw that guy up there. That's when you go in there and you just start snapping up these guys. Mm-hmm. And, worst case scenario is you dump them off your roster after round 2 or 3, or you got the next, not saying Lob would be the next Puka Nacua, but that's what happened last year. I mean, everyone either took him in the last round or like what I did was Sunday morning, I woke up and said, you know what? I'm going to add Puka Nacua to my roster, and I never know what's going to happen. And then you get something like that happens. So that's what I like to do. So we are going to move on.
You want to talk Ayuk at all?
Ayuk? I mean, what's there really to say? I mean, he's still a Niner right now. I mean, are you at the point now where I'm like, to the point where I'm like, I wish I would have never drafted him in best ball because he's just going to be an annoyance for me.
I think he's going to be moved before our next pod. I think he is.
I think I'm exhausted by the fact that it's going and going and going. It's like
that's why I think it's going to get moved. I think the Niners are in the same boat, and they're like, dude, we just need to get this season moved forward one way or the other. So yeah. I think they're very close. I think it's just going to come down to getting it done. Supposedly, what I heard is that he had over $30 million offered to him by the Patriots, and they had a deal in place with the Niners as far as compensation. Everybody was good, and Brand was like, yeah, nah, I don't want to play for them.
Yeah, you know what? He's a complete moron because he's not a $30 million receiver. He's had 1 year, big deal.
Oh, and I like it.
Yeah, what's his target competition in New England? He would have stepped into the alpha role this year for sure. And I mean, he would have beat out DeMario Douglas, maybe Jalen Polk. I mean,
New England doesn't need them. They really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Baker, they got Polk. They don't need that aggravation with a rookie receiver. Just
They're not.
Pardon me.
The Patriots are not ready for that.
No, they're not for that.
They are 2 to 3 years away, in my opinion. They're just too young across the board. On the offensive side of the ball, everyone who came in, Polk, Baker, May, they're all young, right? Even Stevenson's young, and he's been there for a couple of years. Your oldest guy is Bourne or Juju. I think it's Bourne. And those guys aren't really even part of it anymore. So bringing Ayuk in at 26 years old for that team, it just doesn't do it. You need older guys. I'm fine with Bourne and Juju. Juju's bad. Don't get me wrong. But my point is, it's that you have that old mentorship players for these younger guys, and that's what the Patriots need right now. That's why they brought Brissett in to help May, which I like. And that's just kind of where we're at. And they're not there. They don't need Ayuk.
Anything else with the Ayuk news? Everybody knows what I feel about it.
I was just curious to see you guys' thoughts on it.
I hope Ayuk goes to the Browns.
I mean, if that happens and Amari Cooper goes to the Niners, I mean, how much value do you think that gains to Amari?
So I think what happens is Ayuk's value stays the same. I think Cooper's value goes up and Ricky's value goes up.
I just hope he doesn't go to the Steelers, because if he goes to the Steelers,
it wrecks his value completely.
Wreck Pickens' value.
Everybody, I think everybody, Freiermuth, Pickens, even Ayuk himself. I think if he goes to the Steelers, but that's been the loudest drum beat. That's been kind of the thing. They've said that they're just working out minor details, and it's like, oh boy, that's just going to ruin everybody's day.
It's not going to be good. I mean, that would be horrible.
I got him in a dynasty that I've been in for a couple of years now. One of my first ones, and I'm just looking at him like, oh, please. All these teams just seem like garbage.
They're terrible. So, all right. Enough with the news and notes.
Jeez, I'm sorry, Scott. I didn't need to bring up such a sore subject for you.
No, I haven't been super happy about all the news with Ayuk, especially where they think he might be going. Because I have a lot of George Pickens, and I don't want. That's the last thing I want to do is go to.
So you don't want to talk about a valid news point because you're bitter.
Well, I mean, there's really nothing to talk about. It's the same crap over and over again. Some guy who wants to get overpaid, who wants to get paid, and he's not worth it. So I mean, the Niners are in great position right now. They already drafted the heir apparent. They got a stud in Debo. I mean, if he's going to be a cancer, just let him do whatever he wants. I mean, he's got to play for him, or if he wants to sit out, then he'll start getting fined. So, I mean, they have all the leverage on him.
I was surprised that the Patriots were a target that they were willing to trade to, because who are they going to get back in return that's going to help fill the hole a little bit? Because they're a championship team right now.
I think that they would ask for the first round draft pick, and that's going to be an early draft pick in next year. I think New England's draft pick will be top 5 next year.
I don't think New England's giving them their first round pick.
That's what they were.
That's all they have.
Yeah. They weren't going to move him unless they were going to get a first round picks.
I heard second rounder was the standard target.
Well, do we got a minute? Can we play a quick game? Where's the best landing spot for him? I mean, across the board.
I mean, I think as
out
far
of
as
the 3 teams, or are you talking about the whole NFL?
Let's open it up. Let's open up for the whole NFL, because we already. I mean, all of us are on the same.
Take
page.
them, Buffalo. Take them.
You know what I'm gonna say. I mean,
I know where Sean's going with it, but
you can have them. You can have that cancer. Take them.
Hey, I mean, that could be a huge piece for this season. Buffalo ain't gonna pay him though. That's the problem. So
Buffalo can't pay anyone.
I think Ken, you had a point. I mean, the Browns make sense. The Browns could be an okay spot, but yeah, I mean, with all the contentious behind it, and just kind of his attitude through the whole thing, I think it's a bad look all around. So
when you think about like a team going all in, like the Jets.
Wow, I mean, they don't. they don't have a lot of depth, really. They got Mike Williams is coming off the PUP and the ACL. And then they got a couple of rookies they picked up last year.
Well, they'd have to ask Aaron Rodgers first.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers would rather have Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Aaron.
Yeah, get a little team action going, then send him over to the Raiders. The Raiders can send Devontae over to the Jets. The Jets will send something back over.
That's the kind of trade I don't think we'd see in our lifetime.
All right, let's do some recap of last week's game. The Texans and the Bears in the Hall of Fame game. I got just roasted for the under on that one.
Told you.
I mean, come on. These two quarterbacks were playing like it was the Super Bowl, man. Give me a break, man. It should have been a punt fest that first half. But I don't know. Anyways, the Vegas wins like they always do. So all the people that took the under got burned. So really,
I just went against what you said, so I got a nice payday.
Well, good.
That's why I tell no one to bet on the game.
So let's talk about some standout players in that game. I think we can all say that the only relevant player that I think we were really watching was Cam Akers. Can we agree on that?
Yeah. I mean, who's got fantasy relevance, I would say.
Exactly. That fantasy.
Yeah.
So is he pushing Dameon Pierce for the number 2 behind Mixon?
No.
Sean?
I don't think so either. No, I don't think so.
Jeff?
No, I'd be really surprised if that was the case.
Yeah, I think the fact that he played actually kind of proves it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, because Mixon's been dealing with something, a groin injury, I think, or something like that. And so the fact that they held Dameon Pierce out when the everything I'd heard up until game time was Pierce is going to play. That tells me that they're like, no, Pierce is the backup, so we'll play whatever other guys we've got down here at the bottom of our depth chart. So, yeah.
The only way it happens is if Pierce gets traded.
Sean, do you like the new kickoff rule?
I do. I mean, I think that field kind of screwed us out of a really good opening for it because there was a lot of slipping going on those kickoffs, but it definitely was fun to see how it played out. There was a couple of kickoffs that I saw, like once less slip here or one extra block there, and the guy had room to break it. So I wouldn't be surprised if, the really skilled returners in the league, the Cordero Pattersons and whatnot, can use this to their advantage and start breaking some of these touchdowns, man. I'm excited to see how it plays out tomorrow and this weekend because now you get to see every team doing it, and we're gonna really see if it's consistent, how it's played, or if it's gonna be more of a guessing game all throughout preseason. So, I'm excited about it. I think it was a good little kind of wet the whistle. It didn't really give us everything because I think the field conditions are just so bad, and it was obviously bad weather. So.
And B and C team players. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you're talking Hall of Fame game. Like they hold backups out of that game on a regular basis. So it wasn't like that great of a what do you call it? Like I should say like a showing for it. But I think it'll be really fun to watch this weekend.
What about you, Ken?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I needed something to get excited about on the kickoffs and stuff, so I'm fine. I like it. I'm very excited for it.
All I want to see is what the Dolphins do. That's all I care about. I just want to see how the Dolphins handle this.
Well, the Steelers too, man. I mean, they picked up Patterson specifically for kick returns, and they love him in that, Arthur Smith offense. So, the guy like that, like this could tell you whether or not he's worth taking with a late round flyer, based on how this preseason might go if they actually put him back to return.
Yeah, I don't know how this NFL thinks this is going to be safer because you still got guys running into guys that are engaged and falling on people. So, I mean, you're still going to get guys that are going to get rolled up on, still going to get some guys that might get some concussions. I just don't see how this has anything, if it makes it any safer. I mean, maybe the guys aren't getting a full run at the person for bigger collisions, but when you run guys into piles of other players and they all fall on each other, I mean, there's still risk of injury. So I don't know. I really don't see how it's going to be safer. It'll definitely be more exciting.
I think it'll be safer too. I do. I just think that the main thing with the blockers not having more than a 5-yard to 10-yard run up is going to change the injury aspect, because that's where 90% of them happened, was the block on block injuries, especially the major neck injuries and things like that.
Yeah, true. All right. Let's get into some game previews for next week. What we're going to do in this exercise, gamers, is we're just going to go around the horn. Each panelist was asked to preview 4 games. And like I said, we'll go around the horn, and each panelist will give their opinion on the game and what players to look for that may have some fantasy value. So I'll start. I'm going to go with the Lions and Giants at the Giants in MetLife Stadium, 7 p.m. And what I'm looking for is, obviously Jared Goff's not going to play, so I'm going to look at Hendon Hooker. I'm going to see how he has processed the offense, how he looks out there now that his knee injury is well behind him. I want to see how he runs the offense, because if Goff goes down, he's got to be able to run this offense. So I'm really interested to see how he runs the offense. Another guy that's had some camp hype was Jameer Jefferson. He was drafted back in 2021. He could be a guy that, could possibly might look pretty good in the preseason. Somebody that could be that 3rd or 4th running back on that roster. And then tight end Shane Zastrel, who developed into a red zone threat in 2021-22 before he missed all last season with a knee injury. And one thing I'm noticing too is Laporta's banged up again, in OTAs. So I hope it's not this is going to be a problem throughout the year. But he is a pretty tough guy. So but Zastrel looks, he could be somebody is a second tight end that might be able to at least be a backup in that offense or red zone threat. And then as far as the Giants side, really we're looking at Neighbors. If he plays, I'm pretty sure he'll play. I don't see why they wouldn't play him. I don't think they're going to play Daniel Jones. What they should, but they're probably not. No. And then I'm also looking at 2 other guys. I'm looking at Tyrone Tracy and Theo Johnson. So these are 2 rookies. Singletary is the running back there, but there's really not much behind him. They say Tracy looks pretty good in OTAs, and then they the Giants lost Darren Waller to retirement, and Theo Johnson they drafted in the draft. He could step in right away as tight end over Bellinger. He's fighting Bellinger for that tight end spot. So definitely looking at those 2 guys. Definitely looking at the whole Giants offense. Really. So next on the list, we'll go to Sean, and Sean previewed the Eagles Ravens. So go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like for me, with week 1 of preseason, it's usually rookies. I mean, those are the ones that for sure are going to play a lot of times, and I kind of want to see how they acclimate for their first game out there and everything. If they kind of got the wide-eyed rookie look, or if they're actually looking kind of poised and the way that your mannerisms are and their body language, and obviously their way they play. So for me on the Eagles side, I want to see how Shipley looks out there today. Well, not today, but this weekend. That's a player that I liked coming out of college talent wise. And I know that they're an offense that does like to do a committee approach, even sometimes 3 backs. So if he comes out and he looks decent, he looks like he's, made for the part. I really think that he could kind of carve his way into a role with that offense. So that's a guy that I really want to look at on that side of the ball, and otherwise, I just to kind of get a feel for this new offense that they're running and how it's going to look. And to just kind of see how this is going to play out. I know Barkley's not going to be in there, but, just kind of an idea on what their scheme's going to be like, really more than anything. On the Ravens side of the ball, it's more about how are they going to utilize this running back core behind Henry, right? Because Henry's not going to play in this game, from what I understand. So, they're basically kind of conserving Henry. I don't think he's expected to play in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. So, I really want to see how they play out this backfield and with the guys that they have there. I know Keaton is, I believe, still coming off his injury, so I don't believe he's going to play either. So, that's the kind of backfield like layout from there. I want to see who starts. I want to see who comes in after them, who has the most playing time, those kinds of things for that running back core. Because, the rest of their team is pretty much, what you're getting. That's really the only kind of question mark is how are they going to handle that backfield behind him.
I like the Shipley take. I'm interested in watching him too. Okay, Ken, you're up now. And Ken, what about the Panthers and Pats?
So it's going to be kind of interesting because I look, of course, for the Patriots side, Brissett's going to play, which is great. I'm more looking forward to all the rookies. Drake May's going to play. How long is he going to play? What's he going to show when he's out there? Polk's going to play. Baker's going to play. And then on top of that, I guess, one guy that's showing a lot out of Patriots camp is their 7th round draft pick at tight end is Bell, who I guess is showing a lot for the Patriots. So for me, it's kind of all over the place, but it's really to see how this team's going to connect because you have so many young pieces coming in, and we're going to see how, all their training camp so far and see how it shows in that first preseason game. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most. And excuse me, on the flip side, the Panthers, Legette's not going to play. Brooks is out. So what do I look forward to the most? It's not really any of the players for me. It's more of what Dave's offense is going to look like because the Panthers as a whole last year sucked. It was some of the worst football I've ever seen. Watching it and live, watching it on TV was just bad. So I just look forward to seeing how Dave has changed that offense to hopefully play to Bryce Young's strengths, whatever they may be, and kind of just go from there. So, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most from, that game. And, it's very tough right now for the Panthers wide receiver core to see who's going to come out ahead. So I kind of look forward to it more, what's going to happen with them more like preseason 2, 3, and 4.
Got you. Alrighty. Over to Zoobs. Zoob, break down that Seahawks-Chargers matchup.
So this one I feel is going to be real interesting because you got new offensive coordinators for both of these teams. So it's going to be kind of all new game plans across the board for what these teams are going to look like. The Chargers, you kind of went from sort of a passing first, and now we assume it's going to be more of a run first. And then Seattle brought in Grubb, who's a offensive coordinator for college, and it's going to be kind of a new offensive scheme there. So really kind of interested to see how those two offensive schemes really kind of shake out a little bit. As far as Seattle, you got your top guys. They're not going to play. I mean, Geno Smith isn't going to play. Metcalf, JSN, maybe, but I doubt it. I mean, so really the only thing I'm looking for on the Seattle side, I want to see how Sam Howell looks. I think they're going to give him a lot of play time. I want to see if maybe they've calmed him down a little bit over in Seattle from his time in Washington, because that was a pretty frantic year for him. So I want to see if he looks a little bit better, and a little more calm. Maybe they've, tamped him down a little bit, especially, we got news that Geno Smith is dealing with something with the hip. So, and he's, 33, 32, 33, somewhere up in there. So if he goes down and it's the Sam Howell, show, is he going to be able to be fantasy relevant for those pass catchers? As far as on the Chargers side, come on, who do we want to see? We want to see Kamani Vidal. We want to see what he looks like. He's gotten a lot of buzz on the offseason, even though he was kind of a late round pick for the Chargers. But, you got two older guys at the top of that depth chart who get injured a lot. And if this is John Harbaugh and he runs the kind of run heavy offense we think he's going to run, I want to see if that rookie's got some juice to him, and if he has a chance to maybe take over this backfield at some point. And, especially if either of those two guys go down, or if he just looks better than them. That could be a real thing. I don't think we're going to see Ladd McConkey. He's dealing with his own kind of injury right now, which is a real bummer because I really wanted to see how he looked out there. But does that open the door for Brandon Rice? Kind of a late round flyer. I'm sure Ken knows that name if he's talking dynasty, maybe somebody in the 4th round. He's the son of Jerry Rice. So if he gets some play time and he looks really good, maybe he's got a chance to make his way onto the field a little bit more this season. Because I mean, they really don't have much. They got Josh Palmer, you got Ladd McConkey, and then who's after that? So I'd like to see
Quentin.
Oh, huge! Don't get me started on the guy with the bricks for hands. Do not get me started.
All right,
It's like Hot Hands Heenan from Little Giants.
All right, well, that pretty much wrap that one up. So we'll go back to the top here, and I'll break down the Falcons at Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. I think for the Falcons side, everyone wants to see Michael Penix. He should get a lot of run. Not sure he's going to have anyone really to throw to. I'm assuming is probably going to sit out. They also have a late flyer, 6th rounder, Casey Washington, who the buzz in camp is he's like an Amon-Ra, catches everything out of the slot. So somebody maybe to keep your eye on there. On the Dolphins side, OBJ is not practicing. So I'm really interested to see Malik Washington. He's a burner, just like all the whole team are burners. I'd like to see if they put him back in the kickoff. I want to see how he runs the routes, how he catches, and I'm really interested to see him. I'm not sure if Jalen Wright's playing or not. I'd like to see him and his run. I know probably ETN's not, or not ETN, but Achan's not playing. Mostert's not playing. So hopefully they give Wright some run. So should be a pretty interesting game. I'll definitely be interested in tuning into that game. I think there's some rookie goodness that we'll get out of that game. So we'll move on to Sean, and I'm sure he's super excited to break down this game. This will be the Bills and the Bears. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, baby. Cannot wait to see my boys in uniform again. I'm so excited. So, I mean, I get this way every time for first preseason game of the year for the Bills, and then it starts, and then by mid-second quarter, I'm looking at a trade on my phone. But, it's always so exciting to see your team run out of the field for the first time in the season. So, as far as the Bills are concerned, obviously I'm watching for pretty much everything that goes on with my team. A couple of players, though, that I actually want to see is I want to see how they utilize Dawson Knox in this new offense. I feel like he's kind of a forgotten guy, right? And everybody thinks that Dalton Kincaid is going to come in there and Dawson's just going to be never targeted again. And that's not really going to happen. I think he's still going to have a share of the offense. So I'm just curious to see how much and whether or not it makes him relevant enough for me to hang on other than a fantasy handcuff, really. So I like him. And then there's a young kid coming out named Tyrell Shavers. Remember that name, guys. This kid is looking great in camp, and Josh loves him. Like, he has been talking him up, and I really do think that he's going to have something to prove to us in this game. So I think he'll get a lot of play, and I'm excited to see him. And then I'm hoping that we get Keon out there too. I mean, I want to see Keon make some sort of amazing catch over the top of somebody, walk off the field, and say this is what you have to look forward to. So, those are the main things on my side that I'm looking forward to. I mean, everybody knows on the Bears side, there's so many great things to look forward to in this game. We're hoping Caleb gets his first action as a starter. We're hoping Rome gets out there and plays with him, and we can see how that connection kind of looks. Want to see how this offense looks a little bit more when he's actually under center, because they're going to give him a little more things to do than they really did in this last game. So, it's going to be fun, and then we're going to have the Hard Knocks episode following it too to watch. So we're going to get to see the breakdown on that once everything goes through and the Bills kick their butt. So it's going to be one of those games that's it's going to be exciting across the board, no matter what offense is out there. So cannot wait, man.
All right. Well, I think next week we may give the the analysis of the Bills. Should we give it to somebody else instead of Sean? Because Sean just gets so excited. Yeah. So we'll go on to Ken, and we're gonna give Ken a game where he should have a lot of information on his hometown Bucks. They will be traveling to the Bengals.
I'm excited for this just because it's kind of interesting. So as of right now, it doesn't look like Evans and Godwin are going to play. But then they kind of talked about a little bit today that they might play just for like a couple minutes in like the first quarter just to get like their feet wet. So if they do come out, I just like seeing them. So that would get me excited. But I hope they don't play just because I don't need them getting injured. But who really excites me is Jalen McMillan. This kid is a stud. He's fast. He has good hands. And I am super excited. I think he is going to absolutely blow who is it? Trey Palmer, right?
Yep.
Trey Palmer's going to fall to fourth on the depth chart. McMillan, I just am very excited for him and ready to see what he, has to show for everyone. And then there's another guy that I've actually been following, which he's been getting a lot of people talking in camp, and it's undrafted rookie Cameron Johnson. He's actually been getting talked about a lot, and I hadn't really heard much about him. I didn't even know he got picked up until some news and reports have come out that he's just impressing everyone. So I'm ready to see what he has to show out at camp. And of course, I hope TJ's watching because TJ's going to love this. He doesn't like Mr. White. So I am ready to see what Bucky has to show.
Yeah.
So that is the other player on the Bucs I'm excited for. And I don't necessarily care about how much he's in the game. What I care about for him is I want to see how he runs. I want to see what his vision is and if he can find those open pockets. Because if he can, I think he's going to really, really, really cut into Rashid White's what's the word?
Workload.
Thank you. Workload for this season. And then on the flip side of that, I'm also kind of excited for the Bengals because it looks like the starters are actually going to be out there, which is shocking to me. I did not think
even Glass Joe.
Hey, Burrow will be out there, which I'm actually kind of surprised about. I thought that they would not play Joe Burrow week 1 just to like give him some more rest and not kind of, for injury concerns, but he'll be out there. One guy that I'm interested to see, and he's not a rookie, but Tyler Boyd's gone. So after, Jamar Chase and Higgins, who's next? And supposedly is Andre, I can never say his last name.
Asavash or whatever.
Yeah, however you say that last name. Supposedly he's turned into Burrow's, favorite guy behind the other two. So that was interesting to hear and, see all the reports on because of the guy that they just drafted in the most recent draft in Burton. They're not really talking about him much. So I want to see what he also has to bring because I think, that's really the big thing at a Bengals camp for what's for wide receiver 3, because everyone was kind of thinking, Burton gets drafted, he's going to take Higgins' spot when he leaves next year. So it'll be kind of interesting to see.
All right. Well, before we get into Zoobs, I wanna just welcome to some viewers in here that I haven't seen in a while, or I haven't seen at all. And Ralphie Sleeper, welcome. Bill Burgeon, welcome. Joshua Bernanza.
Billy B.
Baranza.
Kermit the Frog, 19810 says, "Are you allowing people to join?" Yes, we are, Kermit. So yeah, just want to shout out to those guys.
I love it when you new people show up too, because Scott has a hard time with names, and it's great to listen to him butcher them.
I do, but I can say Jimmy Wojo. Jimmy Wojo's back in the house. What's up, Jimmy? So yeah, I just want to say shout out to you guys. Welcome in, thank you, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
If you
So we're gonna move
just
on
throw
to
up a comment
Zoobs.
so Scott can welcome you to
No,
the team.
please, I don't want to butcher any more names. All right, Zoobs. Saints cards.
Saints cards. I can't even explain how excited I am to see Spencer Rattler play.
Yes.
I have picked him up in almost every dynasty I have, and just letting him linger on the taxi squad, because I think that hot take here. I think he might overtake Carr this year. I think they might.
Take. I like it though.
I think they might sit Carr somewhere middle of the year when he's just not doing great, and I think Spencer Rattler takes over.
Damn.
Yeah,
Hey, if it goes sideways, maybe.
that's all I'm saying. There's a very real chance. I think Carr is just, and I've had to pick him up in a couple of 2-quarterback leagues where I've been like, I just don't want to do this. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see Spencer Rattler. I want to see what he's got. As far as who he's going to be throwing to, that's I don't think they're going to play Olave at all. He's been a little banged up with I want to say either a hip thing or a shoulder thing. I can't remember what it was. I think before the training camp started, it was a shoulder thing. He'd done it weightlifting, and then I think he had like a hip flexor or something just recently. So he's probably out. That being said, A.T. Perry, who was drafted last year, I kind of want to see what he's got. I hope he plays for sure. They got Cedric Wilson. I didn't realize that they'd picked him up. I want to say he was on the Dolphins last year. So that was interesting to find out that he was on their squad there. And then Equanimus St. Brown, who's Amon-Ra St. Brown's brother. He's also on the Saints. It was a who's who of where did these guys come? When did they pick these guys up? I don't remember any of this. So yeah, it was that was kind of interesting. And then as far as like the running back stuff, is Kendre Miller ever going to see the field for this team? I mean,
man, I'm so upset with him, dude. I have so many shares of him, and they don't look good.
And the coach, the coach is just blasted him the other day in an interview, and I was like, wow, these guys do not like him for whatever reason. So, behind Kamara, who's pushing 30, I think, you got Jamal Williams and you got Kendre Miller. So I want to see if they've got somebody on the roster that they're planning on maybe putting out there in the game at some point, to kind of see what the RB2 situation behind Kamara is, because he's gotten injured a couple of times in the last few years. So, is there somebody that they have, or are they just going to roll these guys out and just hope for the best? So we'll see how that kind of shakes out. Cardinals, come on, who are we waiting for? Come on, do I even have to say it? It's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep, everyone.
I want to see Marvin Harrison, even if it's just for a play or two. I want to see what the kid's got. They've already said they're not playing Murray, so we won't see that connection there. But there is kind of a bit of a QB2 battle going on right now between Desmond Ridder and Tune. So I'm not excited about that at all. But if one of them could just throw a highlight reel to Marvin Harrison Jr. in this game, that's all I got to say. It probably won't happen, but I'd love to see it.
If they do that, he's going to be the back of the first round.
Exactly.
Like a 50-yard touchdown pass. He's going to skyrocket.
Yeah. The other people I want to see on this team, I want to see Trey Benson. I want to see what the rookie's got. He's kind of been getting a little bit of bad press, bad news coming out of camp the last couple of weeks. I've heard a couple of camp reports that haven't been great. And so, but he's the only guy really behind, James Conner, and James Conner gets hurt every year. So we need kind of that RB2 situation to figure itself out too a little bit. Because the only people they have behind them is Michael Carter, you may remember from Jets fame, and Tony Jones, who I want to say was maybe on the Saints last year, I think. Yeah. So a real who's of nobody back behind James Conner there. So, yeah. Besides that, though, that's who I'm excited to see there.
All right. Well, I think we're all ready to tune into Harrison. Like I said, big catch, get a big catch for a touchdown, and he'll be at the back end of the first round this year. I am going to break down the Houston Texans at Pittsburgh Steelers over there in Pitt, and I'm going to start off with the Texans. Not really a lot here. They played last week, no starters, probably pretty much the same thing. I'll probably check out a little bit of Cam Akers, see if he can have another, another good game, trying for a backup role. And then I'm going to go right to the Steelers. Russell Wilson looks just like fat and slow. I mean, I don't think he's going to win that job. Justin Fields has looked good in practice. The coaches, Farty Smith's been raving about him, saying he's the most dangerous football player on the field. So, very interested to see how Justin Fields goes out there and plays. To me, I think he has to win this job for his career trajectory. So it's very interesting to see how he's gonna go out there and play. So really, I don't really have a whole lot for that game. Like I said, just Justin Fields. And as far as Houston goes, I really just don't. I think you're going to pretty much just see the same thing you saw last week in the Hall of Fame game. So we'll move on here to Sean. And Sean, go ahead and break down the Redskins at Jets.
Redskins Jets. All right. I mean, everybody knows who we're waiting to see on the Redskins, right? We want to see how Jaden comes out and plays in this offense.
You notice how I said Redskins and not Commanders because
you did, yeah, and you got me too, and I actually
it's
said
always Redskins.
You got me
Redskins
too.
on the Ballsville pod. It will be Redskins.
I can't say that word. The Washington football team. Jaden Daniels, though, honestly, man, he's the most important thing to watch right now in this game. See how he comes out, see how he plays. Same thing with them too. It's a whole different team, so we're going to see if their offense scheme and everything comes out. Is it going to be Jaden friendly? Is it going to be run and gun kind of program, or how's it going to act? So I'm excited to see that side of the world on the Jets. On the Commanders. On the Jets side, I definitely want to see Malachi Corley. I want to see what he looks like. I want to see what they're doing with him. Where is he out on the field? Where is he lining up? All those kinds of things. So, there's a lot of, Debo talk about him, comparison wise. So we want to see how they utilize him as far as that's concerned. Is it going to be some runs involved, things like that, reverses, all those kinds of good things. So I'm excited to see that. I'd be shocked if Rodgers is off the ayahuasca early enough to get in this game. So I don't think we're going to see him at all. So otherwise, I don't think there's a whole lot that I'm too excited about. Maybe some Braylon. I want to see how he runs. I'd like to see. I think he's going to end up taking the 2 role from Israel. So I want to see how he plays out in this game as well. So otherwise, that's pretty much where I'm at with that game. It's not going to be one I'm targeting, but, I'll definitely highlight later.
Got you. All right, Ken, you're up. 49ers, Titans.
So I'm actually looking forward to this game. The kind of at the upper side for most of the games that are going to be played. But it only comes down to what happens with Ricky. So there's rumors are that he's battling a shoulder injury. And depending on his shoulder injury, we'll either decide if he plays or doesn't play in Saturday's game. So I want to see him play because I think he'll be the only wide receiver really that will matter. So I kind of hope that he does play, but if not, then, it's really tough because on the flip side, the 49ers have struggled with this, it seems like, multiple years. It seems like every single RB1, RB2, RB3 gets hurt every single year for the 49ers. So it's just like, are you serious? And we're already in the preseason and everyone's hurt. So that kind of puts in line for Cody Schrader. He was an undrafted running back, which cool. If he excites you, great, because he's like 4th in line. But I think it's interesting because, he was the SEC's leading rusher. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that works out. But other than that, there really isn't much from the 49ers rather than that. However, on the Titans side, everyone's talking about DeAndre Hopkins injury and what's kind of going on with him, like who steps up. So we're going to bring back a name that a lot of us, including myself, got burned on. Great old Traylon Burks. You know, does he actually step up and
play the song? Oh God, Traylon Burks.
Yeah, it's not exciting.
Hey, I like him better than Huge. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll just be kind of interesting to see what they do, who steps up with DeAndre out. And also, I don't think we're going to see much of it, but I am really interested to see how the Spears-Pollard combination works. Because I think if you see them in the game at all and you can see how the game plan is, I think that will show you what the regular season will be, because I think one will be the rushing back and one will be the wide receiver back.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown there. We're going to go to Zoobs now. And Zoobs is going to break down this very interesting matchup between the Broncos and the Colts.
This one actually also doesn't really excite me necessarily. I mean, I'm excited for some of the Colts players for sure. Broncos a little less so. I do want to see what they're doing with pretty much all their skill players. I don't know if you saw the unofficial depth chart that came out from Sean Payton and the Broncos, but is he trolling us? Is it just that old school mentality? He's got all the veterans above all the rookies and second years people. So yeah, reading about, you know, what their preseason plans were was like, what am I looking at? Stidham's the QB1, Zach Wilson's the QB2, and Bo Nix is the QB1 on their depth, or QB3 on their depth chart. I'm going, no, that ain't happening. So I think we're going to see a lot of Bo Nix. I want to see what he's got. I was not really excited about him as a QB prospect coming into the NFL. I don't know if he's really got what it's going to take to be an NFL quarterback. We'll see. So I want to see what he's got. I want to see if he can run this offense at all. I want to see Marvin Mims. I know he's not a rookie, but I want to see what his role is. I mean, I didn't really think he had too much of a role last year, even though I am kind of excited for him this year. So I want to see if they're going to roll him out and what they do with him. I also really want to see Audric Estime. Because Peyton has kind of come out and said that he doesn't care about Javonte Williams. They don't like him there in Denver. It doesn't seem like it. And then behind him, you've got Samaje Perine, who's pushing late 20s, early 30s. And so you just got a kind of a bunch of nobodies after that. So Audric Estime, they drafted. They seem kind of excited about getting him. So I want to see what kind of juice he's got. And then Troy Franklin, can he even hold up? I mean, is this guy going to take one hit and just crumble? So it's an interesting offense with a lot of interesting pieces, and a head coach who's got, you know, some you know, good experience behind him. So I want to see what this offense looks like and what they're going to do. The Colts, I want to see Anthony Richardson. I want to see him out there, even if it's just for a few drives. I want to see how his shoulder looks, how he's throwing after that injury last year. So that'll be nice. I don't know if you guys heard today, Josh Downs went down with a pretty nasty injury, was carted off. So to me, that says that A.D. Mitchell, who was on the depth chart as a co-wide receiver 3 with Alec Pierce, I think this gives him that chance to step into a full-time role on this offense, and I want to see what that looks like. The camp reports and the buzz out of camp has been really, really good on him, and so I want to see if that kind of plays out in an NFL environment. After that, there's really not a lot of stuff that I'm interested in seeing there on the Colts. You know, there's kind of I think we know who the RB2 is. It's probably Trey Sermon. I think we know who the tight end 1 is, Jelani Woods, but maybe there's kind of a battle there for the tight end. But we'll see how that kind of plays out. But if we see AR, if we see AD, and if we see just those two for a couple of drives and see what their connection is, I think that's going to be real exciting.
Great. All right. Good breakdown there. Like it. I'm up now, and I'm going to break down this this Raiders and Vikings game in US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. First off, we'll go with the Raiders. It's going to be battle of the mustaches. We got Minshew and O'Connell battling it out. My sources say that Minshew's outplayed O'Connell so far and has the upper leg going into the first preseason game. So it'll definitely be a pretty interesting battle to watch here. My money's probably on the Minshew man too. I like his game. And then we already talked about Dylan Lobb, or Lobby, whatever you want to call him. He possibly coming in as a satellite back, possibly. So I'll be interested in watching him. I don't care too much about Madison, so I'm really interested in seeing this guy. As far as the Vikings go, we're all looking at JJ McCarthy. See how he runs that offense. I think honestly, Kevin O'Connell envisions McCarthy taking that job at week 1. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts him over Sam Darnold. But they're both going to play, and wouldn't shock me if McCarthy outplayed Darnold. So
they got an early bye too, so it'll be week 6 if nothing else.
Yeah, they'll figure that. I noticed that too. And then the only other thing I'm looking at is I know Aaron Jones isn't going to play, so I'm kind of looking at Ty Chandler. I liked him last year. I think he can carve out a role in that offense, and so we'll see how he is in this offense. But I actually do like Ty Chandler a lot. So that's don't have too much there. Just like I said, more interested in the quarterback competitions in both teams. We'll go over to Sean. Sean, you can break down that Packers-Browns game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, as far as the Packers are concerned, there's really not a ton out there to watch for. I mean, they've got the young kid Keyshawn Nixon, I believe his name is, who's going to be a returner. He's supposedly excited about this new format and everything, so that excites me just to see him out there and returning these kicks. But otherwise, I really don't. There's not a lot on that side of the ball that I'm too worried about seeing. We pretty much know what to expect out of them, and I don't think they're going to start anybody that's really worthy on the offense, anyways. On the Brown side, this is a kid that I really liked last year, and I kind of got a soft spot for the kid. DTR, I want to see him back under center. I want to see if he's progressed at all. I thought he was just kind of thrown to the wolves a little early when he was a rookie. Wasn't ready for all that. Hopefully he'll come back and be at least a little more poised and a little bit more, up to speed with the game pace. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how he kind of plays on that side of the ball. But, it is definitely one of those games that it doesn't really have a ton of flash for me as far as what I'm going to look for other than that.
All right. JoJo's chiming in. He loved the quarterback competition for the Raiders since he's a Raider guy. He does not like my take, so I'll give Ken some time.
Surprise.
Ken, you got any rebuttal for my take?
No. All I'm gonna say is that their quarterback room is in the top 5 of worst in the league.
I love it.
All right, Ken. Chiefs, Jags.
I love it. I just love getting JoJo going. All right. So, Chiefs and the Jaguars. So, I think I look forward to this is that Andy Reid's going to do Andy Reid things. First quarter of the game, he's sending out all of the starters on the Chiefs. So, I think that's going to be interesting to see. You're going to see Worthy, Rice, Hollywood Brown, Pacheco, which, of course, our commissioner just absolutely loves him and thinks that he's, one of the best running backs in the league. I just think that I want to see how Mahomes is going to move the ball around and just kind of see how he meshes with all these wide receivers because it's a lot different from last year rather than Rice and Kelsey. But I think it's also going to be interesting as the starters all come out, who's that RB2 behind Pacheco? We've kind of talked about it a little bit here, Prince and stuff, but is there someone else that we don't know about yet? Sean. So I just think that's the interesting
waiting for you to name him. Just waiting for you to name him.
And the next part from the Jags, I just kind of want to see how Brian Thomas does. And just kind of see, what he can bring to the table. He's been kind of quiet, quiet in terms there hasn't been much on him for news. And I just want to see how he can do out there. Is he going to get targeted a lot, stuff like that. But also Tank Bigsby. I just think that's going to be, there's a lot of reports that he's going to be the RB2 behind ETN. Last year they kind of expected it, didn't really do much, but now this time is completely different, and he's actually just killing it in camp. So ETN's not playing, I don't believe, but I do want to see Tank and see what he can bring and see, what kind of holes he can find.
Gotcha.
Joey brought up a good point, and you didn't name him. What about the rugby star on the Chiefs, man? I want to see this kid coming out, dude. Was it Louis Rees-Zamet or something like that? I believe is his name.
I don't know why I keep getting all the players that I can barely say their names. So it's just been a little bit of a struggle tonight with names. So it's just I'm starting to turn into Scott when I'm trying to name players.
I want to see what this kid has to bring.
I am interested for him. The only thing is I haven't heard anything ever since they signed him. Like there hasn't been like.
I heard that he's been looking real good, and Patrick loves him. That's what I heard. I heard Patrick and him are buds.
I love this comment. All right. So I screwed up. I like to answer everyone's questions on here. I love when people write questions in. So, it wasn't the Raider quarterback room that Jojo wanted to talk about. It was that he wanted Ken to rebuttal. It was the Vikings quarterback room.
What is there to rebuttal? What is it a rebuttal? I will say, I completely disagree with what Zubakis says is an RB5 for Pacheco.
Oh, Jesus.
We've already pub sub. We can't pub sub again.
Right?
I'm just saying there's no way Pacheco's an RB5.
Don't rag on him before he gets to break down his final game.
All right, come on. We got one more game, then we got to get into trade. So, all right, Zubakis.
How
about
I think
the Rams?
Yeah, I think this matchup, I don't know what I'm looking for on either side of the ball. We know that the two quarterbacks, they're not going to play. They're older quarterbacks. So.
How about Trey Lance?
Trey Lance, he's the one thing that on the Cowboys. What's he look like? I've heard his camp has been horrible. So
yeah.
I want to see I've heard it's been really bad. There is a wide receiver I'm really interested in seeing on the Cowboys. There's Jalen Brooks, who was a rookie they picked up this year. So I think the wide receiver 3 on this team is really wide open. You got CD once he comes back, and then you got Brandon Cooks, and then after that it's kind of another who's who. Although I have heard a lot of buzz about Jalen Tolbert also, and he was a guy they picked up last year, so that'll be interesting. I kind of want to see who shakes out as the wide receiver 3 here. I've taken a lot of Jalen Tolbert very late in a lot of my drafts, so fingers crossed. Let's hope he's the guy. And Cooks is kind of on the end of his career, so maybe he can scoot into a wide receiver 2 slot there. As far as the Rams, QB Stetson Bennett. Anybody remember that name from last year? Yeah, he's the backup QB for the Rams this year. So he did not. I don't know if you guys remember this. He was drafted, and then something happened. He didn't play. He left the team last year. He's back again this year. So he's the backup to Matthew Stafford. Stafford has a history of getting hurt, so
Is Jimmy G not there anymore?
Jimmy G's there, but he's suspended for the first couple games of the season. So I guess we're kind of banking on what can Stetson Bennett do if Stafford goes down. So can take that into consideration. And Jimmy G isn't much better, I don't think. I mean, so not excited about what the Rams got behind their QB1 there. Besides that, are we looking at Tutu Atwell this year? Are we thinking what he might have? I mean, they didn't really pick up a lot this year. Colby Parkinson's about the one spot I kind of want to see. I want to see Colby. I want to see if he's got some juice. Tyler Higbee's still in the pup. He got injured pretty late last year, pretty nastily. So if Colby Parkinson's the tight end one, Stafford likes throwing to his tight ends. So I want to see if he's got some juice. I want to see what he's got. That's about the only thing I got to say about the Rams and the Cowboys.
All right.
What do you think of Demarcus Robinson?
Yeah, I was gonna say him. Yeah,
he's fine. He's fine. I mean, if Puka and Kupp are healthy, is he really gonna take that much of a target share from anybody? I mean, I think you'd have to see one of those guys go down for him to really, be super fantasy relevant this year. But
he's not somebody that I think you're gonna be caring about preseason because you already know what you're getting out of him.
Right?
Yeah, I don't even play in the preseason. He's an older.
Yeah, I think he's pushing 30. So I'd be surprised if he plays. I mean, he'll probably sit with the rest of the. I was before the Puka news. I was hoping to see a little bit of Puka out there. I think he might have pushed to play a little bit, but well, I don't think he's playing any of these preseason games now. I think they're gonna rest him. So,
all righty. Well, that wraps up our pregame for the games this weekend. Should be pretty exciting. We'll definitely have a little bit of rebuttal next week on that, along with the next week's previews. So we're gonna get into some up against it a little bit, but we got some trades that we're going to talk about because it's been long overdue. So let's get into the trade talks. I know we got some whoppers, so I had Sean dig into it, and Sean's going to bring up his besties. So let's check out these besties, Sean.
Absolutely. So we'll start out with this first trade. This was a couple of our regulars that are in the leagues, C-Bomb and El Super Bisto. Both of them have been on our pod here before too. It's Connor and Gary. So this was a trade happened in one of our dynasty leagues. Connor gave up TJ Hawkinson. I'm sorry, he received TJ Hawkinson and a 2025 fourth, and he gave up Aaron Jones and Pat Freiermuth to get it. So me personally, I like the TJ Hawkinson side because I'm a big fan of Hawkinson. End up starting sooner than later. And I think if he does, he's a potential top 5 tight end. So I am totally okay with this trade, especially if Aaron Jones ends up in a timeshare. So where are you guys at?
Oh, give me that Hawkinson side 100%. I've never been a Muth fan, especially with the quarterback situation. Is this dynasty or redraft?
Dynasty.
Oh, yeah. No way. Aaron Jones is a dying breed. So, he has 1 year left. This is a, I guess because it's C-Bomb, I gotta give the TJ side.
Where you at, Jeff?
Same. It's the TJ side. I mean, you get a pick, you get TJ, who once he gets back from this injury, he should be a top tier tight end. Aaron Jones is dust. I like Pat Freiermuth, but there's maybe if Justin Fields is his quarterback and he can kind of carve out a Cole Kmet sort of role, I could see him being okay. But give me Hawkinson, who's got top 5 tight end in him. So
that's 3, Scott. Are you going to make it a straight 4, or are you going to go 3-1?
As much as I hate to agree with Ken,
let's go.
As much as I hate to agree with Ken, I like Hawkinson here in this deal. I mean,
hold on. Say that one more time.
No, I will not do that.
Say it one more time.
I will not do that.
This is going in the highlight reel, everyone. At the end of the year, when we play all of our best clips, this will be the number one part of the clip.
So I still think Aaron Jones has a little bit of juice left, but he's entering oatmeal pants range in the next year. So I think Freiermuth will have a bounce back year, but I think Hockenson has definitely more upside once he comes back from his injury. So as much as I hate to agree with Ken, I will take the C-bomb side.
You're not agreeing with Ken. You're agreeing with me, Scott. Just remember that.
There you go.
Oh, the best part of this entire podcast is him saying, I like the Hockenson side.
You got to clip that. All right, next one.
Move on. Get away
Move
from
on. Here we go. We got Tyreek Hill rolling stop. This was in our Shenron League. So we got rolling stop, received Tyreek Hill and Calvin Ridley for Drake London to Jake T. Nels. Man, we all got Scott syndrome today with names. So Drake T. Nels gets Drake London for Tyreek Hill and Calvin Ridley. This is obviously a dynasty league, right? I mean, if not, I really feel bad for Jake, but I'm hoping it's a dynasty league. I still don't think I go that far, though, with a dynasty league unless you're in a complete rebuild mode. So I like Drake. I just don't like him that much. What do you guys think?
I will start. Since hearing the recent news of Tyreek Hill, most likely being in Miami for the next 3 years, I definitely like the Hill side. Like I'm with Sean. I like Drake London, but I mean Tyreek Hill is still going to be an elite receiver for the next, at least the next couple years. So, and then Ridley, if he can just freaking stay healthy, I think he's going to be a great weapon for Will Levis. So, I'd like to see if this is a rebuild or dynasty, but it's looking or a contender, but it's looking like the rolling stop is going for it, and I like it. So I definitely like the Hillside.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't really find this one as close. I just think it's the Hillside, and I think Rolling Stop got a very good deal on it. Even if Jake is rebuilding, I don't think he got nearly enough value. And I'm not saying like you have to get equal value when you're rebuilding, but I think he gave up way too much.
Yeah, you should have thrown in like a second rounder for 2025.
I think if you got like a second, an early second, I think that equals it out. But I just don't think Rolling Stop just got the better end of this deal.
I'm with you. Where you at, Jeff?
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm wondering what he has left for wide receivers after getting rid of those two guys. So, and not that Ridley is necessarily a top tier, but I mean, even last year with a kind of a down year for him coming back after 2 years not playing, he was still top 20 wide receiver, I think, by PPR standards. So, yeah, and then Hill on top of that, yeah, that's. I feel like he might have got fleeced a little bit on that.
Do you think Jake should have asked in return like a first?
I wouldn't have argued that if it ever.
I think it had to be a late first.
Yeah,
for it to equal out.
I'm saying, like a late first, and
yeah.
London for.
I think
Hill.
you have to, because I'm taking Hill over London.
Yeah.
And Ridley, for where I've seen him go, is kind of early second. So you kind of offset that value with a late first.
Yeah,
I'm
for
with
sure. Yep.
All right. So we all agree that Jake ended up losing the deal, but we understand why you might have went that route. As long as if you're not rebuilding, then we have to talk to you. We need to come to trade.
I need a trade where Scott and I disagree.
Yeah, we haven't disagreed yet. We got to find something that we.
Well, let's hope it's mine and Alex.
Oh,
this might be the one. This might be the one.
Trade to talk about here, guys. So I brought it up as our last little finale trade that we could discuss. So this is our dynasty league, and we did this dynasty league pod draft as our first live draft, if I remember correctly. It might have been the second because we did the mock first, but this is the league where I ended up having all of the old. So my team is a lot of old people, and it basically was old people in Malik Neighbors, and that was pretty much my entire squad. So I'm pushing for a championship here, and my best bet was to move Neighbors and try to upgrade with another backup role or another receiving position, and then potentially get a second rounder in the piece to make it even. So I ended up sending him Malik Neighbors and Amari Cooper, and I got back Cooper Kupp, Nico Collins, and a 2025 second, which is Connor's second, so it's probably going to be the first one. But anyways, so what do you guys think of my trade so far? I'll let you guys kill me. Go ahead, Ken. I know you like to tear me apart.
Scott, I actually want you to start this one.
No, you go.
I actually don't know.
I was helping with the negotiations in this deal with Sean.
Oh, you're dirty. You're a dirty. No. Challenge flag. That's not cool.
And just so everybody knows that they're reading the comments, the only reason Joey is saying Neighbors side is because he was upset that I didn't trade him for Drake London straight up because he wanted me to do Neighbors for London straight up. So
I would also like to point out that he
take his opinion.
I would also like to say that JoJo thought that Freiermuth has top 10 upside, which is absolutely ridiculous. So,
but where are you at on this one, Jeff? Let's let Jeff chime in.
Yeah, man, I personally, I'm on the Neighbors side. I really like Neighbors. I think he is just, even with Daniel Jones throwing the ball, I think he is just going to be hyper targeted in this offense. He's basically all they got after they lost Saquon to the Eagles. So I think he's got 150 targets coming his way this year, and if he can catch 100 of them, he could be definitely in the top 10, maybe top 5. That's a big stretch, I think. But and then Amari Cooper last year looked really good. I think he's got a little juice left in him. So yeah, I love Nico. I'm scared of Kupp, especially in Dynasty. But yeah, if you're going for it, Kupp, like we talked about earlier, Kupp's a good thing to have on your team if you're going for that championship this year. So just after this year, you might be hurting. So
come on, Kenneth.
Yeah, we're still waiting, bro.
Where's that second?
Well, it's Connor's, so we'll find out. But I assume it'll be.
We don't know yet.
Close to the top.
Well, I mean,
we'll call it 205. How's that?
Just call it in the middle. Sorry.
I don't like agreeing with either one of your sides because one's Alex and one's you, Sean. I'm kind of stuck in the middle. But I think I have to take the Nico side.
Ooh.
I love it.
So, and here's why. I hate Daniel Jones. And I don't care if you're going to get targeted so many times if you have a bad quarterback.
He sucks at football.
Yeah, he's just not good. And I don't know. I just feel like, Sean, I think for you, Sean, I think you have to go with your side because I think Nico's going to turn into that wide receiver 1. And Diggs is not going to be the one. I think Tank's going to take into Diggs, but not into Nico. CJ Stroud showed that last year. I think Kupp, and the only reason I'm saying this is because of what you said, Sean. I think if Kupp is actually going to put you over the top along with Nico, I do this trade. But there is a very good chance that you making this move doesn't nothing for you. But I do believe in the upside that Nico and Kupp both bring compared to the other side.
I appreciate that. And I mean, I know it's close, man. I do. I might be a little lower on Cooper this year because I'm not high on Deshaun Watson as their quarterback. I think a lot of his, value from last year really wasn't coming from Deshaun. So, I'm just personally not sold that he's going to be able to maintain the pace that he's been at his whole career. So doesn't mean he can't, just means I don't believe it. So I lean that way because of that. I felt like the upgrade from Cooper to Kupp was enough to take what I consider to be the slight downgrade from Nico in the second to Neighbors.
Yeah, I just think Kupp has that If Cup can turn back into the player he was 2 years ago, that puts you over the top.
Yeah, exactly. That's the championship with the team I have. That's the championship pretty much this year if Cup plays up to potential. So
Yeah.
And I do plan to package that second into a piece that I can utilize this season at some point.
Well, if someone trades with you again.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure I can get our good friend Joey Jojo over here to make a trade with me.
So my take on this is, and the way Sean's roster construction is, he built his roster this year and a 2-year, in my opinion, a 2-year win now scenario. So he's looking at to win in 2024, 2025. He has no draft capital. He sold everything. Now in this trade, he does pick up 2025 second. So in my opinion, I love Malik Neighbors, but Sean doesn't have time for him to, because of Daniel Jones, he doesn't have time for Neighbors to develop. He doesn't have that kind of time. So he brings on Cooper Kupp, who I think has easily another year or two left in the league, as long as he stays healthy. I love Nico Collins. And this goes back to me saying, take for you gamers, taking players that are in elite offenses. And Cooper Kupp and Nico Collins are in elite offenses. Amari Cooper and Malik Neighbors are in not elite offenses. So Sean is in win now mode. He does pick up some draft capital for a 2025 second. So I think this is a very aggressive deal. I like it. If you want to win big, you got to go big. It's a big boy trade. He did ship away a good receiver, but like I said, Sean's in win now mode. He's looking at championships. He's looking at what's going to get him over the top. And Malik Neighbors, to me, is not going to get him over the top in the next year or two. So I love this deal. When he told me about this deal and what I thought about it, I said, I'm going for it. If I'm in his position, I'm going for it. So I like it. Big boy trade. Drop the mic.
All right, so for starters, you get a flag for copying me, and you also get a flag for...
I thought you were going to go the other way for sure. I thought for sure you were going to go the other way. That's why I let you go first.
Heck no.
Look at me being a contrarian.
You know how I feel about Nico.
I know, but I thought maybe you would say he was, getting Kupp for an older player, and I know you like Neighbors too.
So what is Daniel Jones?
Sucks at football.
Thank you. Can you also say, hey, just as a side note, can you please say that you like Hawkinson?
No, I'm not saying that.
So, hey, Jimmy Wojo brought up a good point in the comments here. If Cooper gets traded with Ayuk and he ends up in San Francisco this season, where do you fall this trade now?
I will still take your side.
Yeah.
Because of your team. So I think Cooper's value would go up, but I don't think it would ever be as high as Kupp.
Because you know what? Cooper's going to go to the Niners, and he's going to be the RB. He's going to be the WR2. He's not going to be over Samuel.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, who's to say that he's guaranteed to hold?
Yeah, he's going to go from a number 1 receiver to a number 2, even though it's a better offense. And now he went from no target or all the target share in Cleveland to fighting for target share in San Francisco.
And don't forget about my boy Njoku.
So no, I
mean Joe Flacco's boy Njoku.
I like this. I like this deal. So like I said, and actually I think Alex, he picked up Neighbors, and if Alex is not in win now mode and he's Neighbors will definitely develop into a good receiver, but he might have to wait on him a little bit. So but anyway, so
I just gotta say one last thing. It is very bad that Sean and I agreed very early in the pod. We agreed in the middle of the pod, and now we agree at the end of the pod.
So all right.
So go bet on whatever we said on the opposite of what we agreed on, and you'll probably win.
All right. Well, that wraps up our show for today. I want to thank all the listeners for chiming in. Thank you for all the likes, and please subscribe to our channel. We're really boosting our numbers up. And then I want to let everybody know that we are working tirelessly on a website, Ballsville website. We have the domain name, the Ballsville. Is it the Ballsville?
Yeah.
ballsvillegames.com. So we have that locked in. We're trying to get this website out by week 1. It'll be a one-stop shop for you guys to save on your phone, go right to it. We're going to have articles. We're going to have videos. We're going to have ADP. We're going to have all the leagues on there, all sectioned out, so you guys can go on there and pan right through them. So you guys don't have to go to freaking Yahoo and ESPN and all those other, sites. You can just go right to the website that's tailored for you guys, the players. This is another thing that we're doing for you guys, so you guys can get all your information. And then, it'll be like a little blogging area too, so you guys can go out there and chat and put your stuff into and read some of our articles. I'm going to be on our managers about writing articles in there. I like to write, so I'll be writing some articles in there. So it's going to be, we're really, really excited. I think this is going to be a big step for Ballsville. And like I said, it's all going to be tailored just for you gamers. It's our appreciation for you guys. So until next week, my partner, Sean, the dealer is back, and the man from the last frontier, Jeff. Until next week, gamers, we are out.